Next item is passenger rail service, Hamilton to Auckland, Auckland to Hamilton. Item 10, page 15. And do we have Is Rob Ware with us? Welcome, Rob. We'll do it now. Come on up, Rob.
Thank you.
Welcome to Auckland Council's Planning Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Would you like to just tell us about your group, but based in Hamilton, and the work it's been doing? I think it's been advocating to Regional Council and the City Council, District Council, NZTA.
Certainly.
And our report. You can refer to our report as well. So you're in the public forum. You have 5 minutes, and then
thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Deputy
questions.
Mayor. Thank you, councillors. My name's Rob Ware. I am the chair of the TRON, which is the Rail Opportunity Network, which is a lobby group. We have been discussing with major institutional stakeholders in Hamilton the very pressing issue of a rail link between Hamilton and Auckland. I'm an Aucklander who's relocated to Hamilton 4 years ago, and certainly in the last 4 years the nature of both cities has changed. The transport time to get from Hamilton to Auckland has increased markedly. We see the opportunities that are presented by this issue being examined by the council and the North Waikato District Council, or the North Waikato Council study being discussed as very, very exciting. We see huge opportunities for Waikato and frankly for Auckland. As an Aucklander, as an Auckland boy who grew up in the west when Piha was a gravel road to Piha and fibro batches, the city has really matured and grown, and frankly we see it as a regional issue which has benefits for both Auckland and for Hamilton. Two stories. Before I came up this morning, I grabbed my cup of coffee before I hiked up the motorway, and the person serving me the coffee said, "What are you doing today?" And I said, "I'm going up to this meeting." They said, "Great, fantastic. When can it happen?" And that is not unusual. That's not an unusual feedback that I get when I talk to people about what I'm doing in terms of TRON. We have, my wife and I have adult children. They're of a generation that are looking at housing. The feedback that I get from them is fantastic. I would live out of Auckland because I can't afford it, and I would travel into my job, which I love, in a city that I love. Before I moved to Hamilton, I joked with friends of mine that I was going to South Auckland. I see that as the reality of the region. We see this as very, very exciting. We see this as something that can work in parallel with the expressway, which has been fantastic. I'm a court lawyer. I used to drive down to court on that road when it was basically a single lane highway, very dangerous, not particularly pleasant to travel. When you can get up when there's no traffic, if you can choose your travel time, it's fantastic. But in our view, the rail can work very much in tandem with the road. It will empty cars. It will allow there to be more heavy transport. So thanks for having this on the agenda. Thank you for inviting me to talk on behalf of TRON. And hopefully this project will progress. I think it's needed. I've spoken in very general terms. I know that there's studies. We're commissioning a study from a costing study from the University of Waikato. We're talking with major institutional stakeholders who are interested. I don't really at this stage, until we have a further committee meeting, propose to name them. But there is real institutional interest in Waikato. Frankly, we see as a problem, and I state that in a positive way, Auckland, and having some stakeholders in Auckland is something that I'm going to task myself to achieve in terms of getting an Auckland stakeholder that we can converse with as we lobby forward on this very, very important issue for the region.
Thank you, Rob. Can you just give us an idea of the group, the size of the group, the lobbying the group's done? I've read a bit of media that you've been in front of the Waikato Regional Council, the District Council, I think the City Council.
That's right.
Just give us a sense of how long you've been going and how long this issue has... Well, this issue's been around a while,
has been
but
for
it's risen
around,
up.
It has. It's been around for...
year and a half?
Precisely. It's the last year and a half. But it's been around for a long time. And over the last year and a half, we've become, I wouldn't say more organised, but have seen a pressing need to resurrect the issues and to become more formal.
Okay, thank you. I have a question from Independent Māori Statutory Board member Tauhanari.
There's already a line there now, eh? You could say there is already a line there. So, and what you guys want to do, who pays for it?
Yeah.
And if after you've answered that question, isn't it a call, or could be a call by Kiwi Rail in terms of its own business?
I can't answer that question in any detail until we get the report. But certainly my understanding is that there is rolling stock in Taumaranui, which is just sitting there. The line is already there.
Yep.
There are issues in relation to the nature of whether it's diesel or electrification. And frankly, to get it started, it could start relatively quickly because the rolling stock's there, the line's there, and the diesel engines are available. Now that's to just get it starting. We see that as something that would be positive if everything was organised properly. But beyond that, we are moving towards seeing the importance of the regional importance of a fully integrated system that is more than just a journey in the morning and in the evening.
So who owns the tracks? Is it
Kiwi Rail.
Kiwi Rail.
Kiwi Rail owns them? Okay, so you would have to, in any business case, approach them or buy them in somehow. I'm just worried about who in the end gets the bill in the mail on a Monday morning. Is it the Hamilton people? Is it the Auckland people? Or is it Kiwi Rail as a going concern? And if so, should we not leave it up to them to decide?
Well, they're very important questions, but frankly, they're questions that I can't answer now. I would have thought that the cost should be shared across. We'd have to take this to committee and have formal resolutions and the like. But just speaking now, I would have thought that the cost should be shared between Kiwi Rail, Hamilton, and Auckland councils, because the benefits for Auckland are immense.
Yep.
You know, I came up over the weekend. I spent money. You know, I'm seeing Auckland from the vantage view of a tourist, if you like. I think that generationally there'll be more people like me who will move out of Auckland to the Cambridges, to the Te Awamutus, to the Raglands, and they will come back to see their children, and they will spend money. And they won't bring cars if there's a rail service.
Yep.
They won't clog up the city with their cars.
I know that a number of years ago, and I sat on the Transport Select Committee, and we turned down a petition organised by Sue Moroney. It had 15,000 signatures.
Yep.
Things since then have dramatically changed between our two cities.
That's right.
And so,
And that's why I mentioned in the 4 years that I've been in Hamilton, you know, as a transplanted Aucklander, they have changed drastically in both cities.
Chiefs or Blues, by the way. At the moment, it'd be the Chiefs.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make a point about the petition. I hadn't overlooked that. It's coming, but I deliberately didn't want to make this a political statement.
Cool.
We've all got our political allegiances, but I didn't want to make this.
Any more, brother?
I didn't want to make this, or political backgrounds. I didn't want to make this political. I deliberately wanted to make this a general discussion, if you like, about the excitement that we feel and the possibilities.
Thank you, Rob. Now, you're popular, Rob, the topic is popular because I've got 8 members wanting to ask questions
Goodness me.
on my list here.
It's
Members, can we
questions,
be
Chair, and not debate.
succinct? It is questions of Rob
Debate
on his
after.
presentation
Sorry,
or
Chair.
the topic. No, that's fine, Member Hanari. So first up, I've got Sir John Walker.
Thank you. Bring it on, I say.
Thank you, Sir John.
Because at the end of the day, I come from Bombay every morning, and traffic is unbelievable, and same with Pocono. The question is, how soon can you do it? Forget about who's going to pay for it at the moment, because somebody will pay for it eventually. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sir John. I think the message is just do it, but there's a question about who pays, Rob, and that's critical for us as well. Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got a question. I think it's a good thing, but I'm also worried about the payment. So I'm looking at the joint political meeting on the 19th of July 2016, and then the Mayor's meeting with the regional councillors. And if the Mayor was here, I'd ask him, but I just wondered if you knew, why aren't we immediately asking the government to fund this feasibility study? Rail is you know.
Do with the government, that's why.
No, it is actually. I mean, if you look at
But let's put the question.
Yeah.
We don't need to explain the retort. we can just put the question. Are you up to pace with where NZTA is? I am, from reading the papers, that we'll soon consider. Members, we haven't got to the report yet either.
Put a tax on hotels.
So I think some of these questions might go to the report
Okay,
writer.
sorry,
But
apologies, they should.
Rob, where are discussions between your group, because you can only speak for your group,
Yep.
And the
and
political
NZTA, and Kiwi Rail, the two government agencies?
Sorry, I can't answer that, but it's certainly something that I'll take back and we'll communicate with you later.
Thank you. So members, just keep in mind the report is to come. So if we can have questions of Rob.
Apologies.
Councillor Newman?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wee. I had 2 questions. The first, I guess, goes to funding, but I guess the closest model at the moment, Watercare Services has a provider contract with Waikato region to provide bulk water and wastewater servicing to Pocono and Tuakau. Are you sort of envisaging that maybe an option might be for a similar service contract whereby the ratepayers of Waikato region helped fund these services?
We are a lobby group. These are questions that I'll take back to the committee and answer to the appropriate person. They're very helpful, but that's the best I can do at this stage.
Do you have a view at this stage? Infrastructure kind of follows landform and land use. So are you envisaging with this type of extension of service that we would probably expect new towns and quite a significant suburban expansion of existing towns in the Waikato region adjacent to this corridor?
I have a personal view on that, but I prefer to take that to the committee. Certainly the rail will assist the growth, because there's no doubt that there's a growth corridor that's creeping south. You look a bit dismayed with the answer, Councillor.
You didn't answer it.
No, that's always is.
And Rob actually did say that he is going to take that back to his group.
Yeah, I
and
will.
I think that's fair enough.
I'm being picked on here.
No, not at all. I'll take that back to the
All right.
group and get back to the committee.
Absolutely fair. Councillor Cashmore.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. 2 very quick questions, Rob. Has your group got a logistics expert and amongst it look at the fact that you're probably going to need 4 tracking to Papakura at least, and then 3 tracking to allow for an express service? Has that been considered by your group?
Yep, we do have an expert on the committee who's involved in the rail industry, and certainly those are aspects that we'll be asking of the university study.
And my second question is testing the demand, because being the councillor for Franklin, this is my second term, we had a lot of dealings with North Waikato and the regional council last term about this sort of issue, and our response was to them, as it probably will be in the workshop today, that's Franklin and North Waikato are having is test the demand with a bus service first through to Papakura or to Pukekohe, the new interchange there. Has that been canvassed?
No.
Thank you.
But certainly on a personal note, I don't favour the bus, because you're going up the motorway.
It's slow bus.
Okay, I think there is a bus now. I've seen a bus coming into Auckland, Hamilton to Auckland, $20 slapped on the side of it. So there is a bus service now. I'm just not sure how frequent it is.
Now, the road's important. It's a great piece of infrastructure, and the bus services are growing and growing. But that's just adding to the issue,
Okay, thank you.
in my view.
Councillor Mike Lee?
Thank you, Rob. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Are you familiar with the report on the agenda we're looking at? Report on Hamilton to Auckland passenger rail from the Waikato Regional Council representative on the North Waikato integrated.
I've read it, but I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, what do you think of that report?
Thank you. Well, I was glad that it was done. I was frankly a bit disappointed that it recommended a study. I would have been happier if it had been more positive about more positive recommendations in terms of this needs to be done.
Yes, okay. May I ask you, you have another role in life apart from interested in promoting rail links between Hamilton and Auckland. May I ask what you do in Hamilton?
I'm the public defender for Hamilton, so I run a team of 12 lawyers who act for indigent people who can't afford legal services. And prior to that, I was a barrister in Auckland for 25 years, barrister sole. And prior to that, I had stints with Russ McVeigh, Haig Lyon and McVeigh Fleming. So
I think you may be needing those skills in the months and years ahead. Thank you.
thank you very much.
Councillor Cooper?
No, I didn't have a question. Thank you. I'll
Okay, Councillor
go to the
Casey?
report.
Yeah, I have a comment and a question. Rob, I've also been in communication with Hamilton Councillor Dave McPherson, who's as excited as you are about getting this thing actually moving. And you might be disappointed then by the staff recommendation that we do the high-level study as opposed to the feasibility study, and I'd like your comment on that. But also just to forewarn councillors that I think there is a will in this room for this to happen, and there's no reason why we can't be giving in-principle support to the passenger rail service between Auckland and Hamilton, and that will give you some more excitement in your life. So that's coming up, folks, as an amendment. Rob, your comment on the staff recommendation in our report, which is to do the high-level report as opposed to the feasibility study.
I'm not sure what you mean by that.
There's three
Well, my comment is I was pleased to see progress. I was very excited to see that.
Well, there's slow progress and there's fast progress.
We're a lobby group, so to that extent we're very, very happy that there was some discussion coming out of Auckland.
Very good. Spoken like a lawyer.
Thank you very much. I do want to say that I'm an experienced lawyer, but I'm new to this process. The key to any advocacy is preparation, and frankly, I wasn't ready for the sorts of questions, but next time I certainly will be. And I do want to continue with this process because it's in terms of the history of the region, it's exceptionally exciting. You know, my generation, our generation of children aren't looking to London or Melbourne or Sydney, they're looking to Auckland. And the reality is that not all of them can be in Auckland, but I'm involved in the arts in Hamilton. There's a very strong arts scene, and the young people, they don't drive, and they would love to be able to zip up to Auckland, which in the past, my generation in the 80s looked to London.
You want them to come, mate.
Yep.
You want them to come.
And they can come in, spend their money, exchange their ideas, and then go back. Come in for like a tide. So I see it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob. And finally, Councillor Filipaina.
Thank you, Chair. And Rob, look, my question, there was an article in the, from Andrew McRae from a Waikato reporter in May of this year. And the interesting paragraph that I've read was that the Transport Minister, Simon Bridges, said the government would consider supporting the proposal if it had a sound business case, was commercially viable and was supported by key stakeholders. Have you heard anything further than that particular statement around the interim support by Minister Bridges?
No, I haven't, but I just wanted to pick up on two things from that. You identified from the report stakeholders, which is why we're working on key stakeholders, and that's why I've expressed to this group that I'm looking for an Auckland stakeholder. And the second aspect was the report, and that's why we're putting time resources into chasing up the report from Waikato.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I do have another question from Councillor Wayne Walker.
Just a quick question. Are you lobbying all the political parties, I mean the main parties, given that this is government funding we're looking at here?
At this stage, there's no direct
Okay.
politicians that I've been in contact with.
Thank you. Rob, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
And of course, you're welcome to stay. We're going to this item now.
Thank you.
And really appreciate you coming up. One day you'll be able to come by rail, Rob. Hopefully that day is sooner rather than later.
I appreciate that.
And there'll be thousands with you. So I will move receipt of Rob Ware's presentation on behalf of Tron. Seconded Councillor Wayne Walker. Thank you. Rob, really do appreciate you
Thank you very
coming
much.
up. It was short notice. I think we'll let you know Friday. Some of the people you've been dealing with, Mr Livingston, the chair of Waikato Regional, he would have liked to have come up as well, except he's in the South Island. I'm not sure whether you were here when I mentioned to the members the unavailability of Waikato Regional staff. One of the senior managers took ill this morning, so couldn't come to this meeting. But there's a high level of interest, I think, particularly from the Waikato Regional Council. I'm sure the other councils as well, and this topic is definitely not going away. Thank you.